Welcome to this AMSA Talks. Our team here at AMSA are really interested in thinking about the well-being of mobile crisis team members. Responders in particular are regularly in situations where secondary traumatic stress is a high possibility when you're providing care in these crisis situations. Uh, in this regard, we'd really like to question any assumptions that people providing crisis care are somehow invulnerable to the challenges of this work, to stress, to trauma. And we want to talk about the sort of care that should be practiced by and available to crisis responders and the teams that support them. So in us thinking about that, we have a wonderful guest with us here today, Raven. Raven, I'd love for you to take a moment to introduce yourself.
My name is Raven, and currently I work for an agency that serves first responders. So any type of first responder slash crisis worker, whether it's a police officer, firefighter, EMT medic, or it's a mobile crisis response, it's someone who works in the emergency department, corrections, dispatch, any of those that are helping professions and they work with the community. This is a very important topic to me for a number of reasons. I have a background in law enforcement as well as alternative emergency response. So I've been there and responded to those crises and those moments when people are in their darkest moment sometime or their joyous moment, just something happened at the time. So I've been there and I've responded to that as an alternative emergency response responder. We responded to police and 911 calls that did not involve weapons. So a first in the nation type of program. And now we have different alternative mobile services all over the nation, which is super exciting. But one thing we forget as helpers is how do we help ourselves and how do we take care of ourselves? So that's just a little bit background about who I am and my experience in the first responder world.
And before I delve into more questions, I would love if you would talk a bit more about where you work now, which is Pinpoint. I don't want to give too much away, but I think in addition to your significant experience in the field, there is a lot of perspective you can bring from that organization.
Absolutely. Love talking about my agency because I love what we do and I believe what we do. Our agency is a behavioral health solutions, Pinpoint Behavioral Health Solutions, and that is what we do. We work on behavioral health solutions for our first responders. We only we only serve the first responders slash crisis response community. And the unique thing about our agency is that everyone in our agency is either a former first responder military or a part of a first responder military family. So we've lived it, we know it, we've breathed it, and we have dealt with the things that come along with that. So we're able to more empathetically understand or empathize, if you will, with the clients that we serve. So Behavioral Health Solutions started in 2017 after our owner's husband had his own behavioral health crisis. And my supervisor was looking out, hey, where are these resources? How can I look? How can I find this? And she came up against so many barriers. And that became of importance to her. And she's like, let's create a way that we can eliminate some of those barriers for people and families just like us. And that's what we do. We service the first responder as well as their immediate family. So if something came up with a child, spouse, significant other, or what have you, we also service that. So it's a wraparound agency. We provide medication management, specialized type of therapy such as equine, EMDR, various modalities of therapy, and we really are connected to our communities and the people that we serve. So thank you for that.
So are things starting to change around people's expectation around how much time, energy, space they should be able to have to receive care, have self-care, what sort of care their employers should be providing? Are there any changes that are happening?
Yes, yes, and yes. So just think about it. We are the helpers, right? We are the helpers. We're used to responding when someone's in a crisis, someone needs something. If there are uh, different needs that need met, we are the people that go out there, right? We're the ones that are responding to the 911 calls or the crisis hotline or what have you. But the challenge becomes, what happens when we're in crisis? What happens if we need a need met? What happens if you get off of a rough call and you got to go on to the next one, and then you got to do that over and over again, day in and day out? That wears upon us, right? You talked about compassion fatigue, vicarious trauma, secondary trauma, and I'll try to break those down here in a few moments. But previously, back in the day when I first started in the first response, when something happened, you suck it up, you move on, you go to the next call and make it happen. We don't have time for this. Feelings, oh, that the F word, oh, we do not have those, right? We got a job to do, and that's what it is. Suck it up. However, over the last 20 to 25 years, we have seen a different type of trend. We're talking suicide, relationship issues, and addictions. Okay. Those are affecting our first responder communities in astronomical numbers. Why? Because nobody's talking about it. So, the importance is that the trend is starting to move in the direction of, oh, wait, we need to take care of our people, right? We need it for retention purposes, recruitment purposes, and because we're good humans and we want to provide that space for the helpers. So sometimes it looks a little different as we move forward in our society and we continue to destigmatize mental health, and we look at the biological and the neurological factors that factor into addiction and to other behavioral health challenges. We can begin to recognize that sometimes that can affect us too. But as we destigmatize these things, then it opens the door to, oh, well, let's talk about it. Yes, that F word that no one wants to talk about, actually, we do need to talk about that. And for mobile crisis workers, this is of utmost importance. A lot of us mobile crisis workers or crisis workers, we are responding to scenes where someone is having a mental health break, right? Or maybe there was a lapse in medication, or there was a basic need that wasn't being met. Whatever that looks like, that person, while it may not be a crisis to those responding, it is a crisis to that person. And when someone has crises and we're handling and walking through and coming up with whatever we're going to do, connect them to services or provide services or what have you, that becomes to take a toll on us. We're always helping who's helping us, right? So it is vitally important that programs across the nation, just as our police and fire and EMS departments, our emergency room departments, our other dispatch centers, just as they are starting to develop or recognize a need for wellness programs, it's also vitally important for those involved in alternative mobile services to have that option as well, because we may not be responding to robberies and armed gunmen and a house on fire and someone's broken arm. We may not be responding to those, but we're responding to moral injuries, mental health challenges, things that break people from the inside out for whatever reason, whatever they've been exposed to. And that is heavy sometimes. And it's okay to say that. And if someone watching is like, oh, but so and so has it worse, or so, yes, but you do too. And if you needed a moment or something to tell you, well, if she's speaking, I'm speaking to you. It's okay to say, hey, I need some help. It's okay to take a break and do something for yourself. That is absolutely okay. So you didn't really need my permission, but if you needed permission today, this is your permission. Your well-being and your wellness is just as important to the folks that we are responding to in the community.
We're talking about care once it becomes very, very apparent that there needed to have been some in the past. It's like, what's the proactive things that can happen to be keeping folks well and processing with one another and working at a sustainable rate and in a sustainable way.
Sure. Glad you asked. I actually set up these programs all over our our region and our state. So great you asked. One of the important things, and you're right, we do need to catch these before people get to the burnout stage, before people get to the moment where they want to die or they don't want to function or they're not getting up or calling into work or avoiding people or being hyper vigilant or all the things that can come with vicarious and secondary trauma. We have to put those measures in place. And a comprehensive wellness program, just as we offer our police, fire, EMTs, and medics, we should be offering that to our mobile crisis and alternative emergency response workers, right? We should be providing the availability not only for physical wellness, but also mental health wellness, right? We have a program through my agency called Neck Up Checkups. Okay, we go, if you work for a county or a city or an agency that sends you every year for your well check or your update on your cholesterol, your AO1, your A1C, and all of those other things. But sometimes we forget to check from here up. So we offer what's called a neck up checkup program. We're coming in once a year, sitting down with each, at least a minimum of once a year, sitting down with each responder, chatting with them about several questions like, hey, how long have you worked? How long have you worked in this field? Have you ever seen a therapist? Who's your support system? Who would you call in the darkest moment of your life? What are some behaviors that maybe not be healthy behaviors? Are you connected with a primary care physician? Are there ongoing medical issues or medical management or medicine management? Like, what are those things? So it's a yearly thing that programs can utilize or sign up for and have that availability at least a minimum of once a year, checking in with that person. Also, providing space at work to have those hard conversations. Okay, you get off of a call where you may have someone in complete duress and the situation is a 45 on a scale of 1 to 10, right? As far as all of the things, or maybe de-escalating, and the things that we do as social workers or as crisis and mobile service responders, those are the things that we respond to, we're used to. But what happens if it doesn't have a good outcome? What happens if it does have a good outcome, but your body was in distress while you were helping? Critical incident stress management, debriefs, defusing, hot washes, all of those things are important as we're doing the work. So if you and I respond to a crisis, it's highly distressing, if you will, or even if it's not, maybe it triggered something in one of us and we're having a moment, then we can come back, or we can gather, or we can have someone to sit down and kind of process through what that was. Or maybe not an operational debriefing, but like, how are you feeling? Checking in, what could we have done different, or what are you feeling, kind of thing, and having those available. Maybe not after every incident. Maybe it's the supervisor recognizing in their responders, like, hey, so-and-so hasn't been coming to work, or they haven't been doing. What are things that we can put in place? Having the availability to contact their employee assistant program or another behavioral health provider that provides those behavioral health solutions. Also encouraging self-care and encouraging time off. Stop making people feel guilty for calling off when they're sick, whether that's a physical illness or something going on where they're just not, they need a mental health day, right? We should be providing spaces for that and not pressuring our folks, because we are helping, we want to help, not pressuring them or creating an environment that pressurizes them to never call off, even if they're struggling. Because, oh gosh, I'm going to make my coworkers. No, figure that stuff out ahead of time and have a backup plan. Have a primary and a secondary. Offering trainings for our folks. Training doesn't have to look like we're sitting and listening to someone lecture. It could look like an interactive thing about team building, about helping each other, recognizing signs and things in each other that could potentially be red flags for some challenges ahead. So having a comprehensive wellness program and checking in. Stop being afraid to ask the questions. Stop being afraid to not stir anything up because we don't have the personnel to cover. No, we need our supervisors and our agencies and our city governments and county folks to understand that we have to be taken care of so that we can take care of our communities.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And something that really sticks out to me with this is that, yeah, there needs to be this sort of strategic planning around this, that there is, yeah, like you mentioned, having a first and second available, having adequate staffing so that folks can take mental health days, take time off of work is necessary for this. If there isn't the adequate staffing, that's where all this well, yeah, you can never take a day off because there's no one there. So, yeah, the design of these programs should take into account the sort of support that is needed and the spaciousness that is sometimes
Sure.
needed to
In
do.
addition to that, Amanda, have two other things. Have paying people a living wage so they don't have to have two and three jobs and get burnout from having those two and three jobs, right? So ensuring that we're paying our people and providing benefits, right? Allowing them to have mental health days, sick days, vacation time, time away, scheduling hours to maximize personnel, but also maximize the availability for people to have self-care. So ensuring that we're paying folks enough so they're not having, the additional jobs and stress, and being accommodating for things if they want to sign up for to be a coach or they want to go to their kids' games and things like that. Just like we take care of our other first responders, we have to take care of our mobile and alternative emergency response folks too.
Now, something else that you had mentioned, you were talking about just in the acute sort of moment after a call, or and you talked a little bit about debriefing, not this operational debrief, but being able to do a quick check-in process. You also you mentioned diffusion and I think hot wash. Um, I'm curious if you would speak a little bit to what those terms mean in this context.
Yes. So a hot wash is just you come in and you dump with whoever it is that you're there with, and you kind of it's hot in the right in the moment, and it dissipates, and then you keep moving. So it's a venting, if you will. Okay. And then we go on to diffusing. Diffusing is a little bit more formal. It's kind of primarily within 24 hours of the incident, critical incident, or whatever it is that's going on. So you come in and kind of chat with the folks about how the process went. Debrief is a bit more formal. It's involving all of the parties that were involved. It's encouraged. I don't think forced would be a good thing, but encouraged for everyone to attend. Not everyone has to engage or speak or spill their feelings or anything, but you come into the room and there's a trained clinician along with peer supporters that come in and are there to support the group through whatever that critical incident or whatever that challenge was. So there's a variety of different ways, whether it's a one-on-one, you and I just chatting in the car as we move on to the next call, or if we need to go back to the district or the building or the place of employment and just kind of de-escalate ourselves and bring ourselves down in our body and regulate ourselves. Or is it something that, man, this is really affecting the whole team or the whole everyone that responded? We need to put everyone in a room and let's see what we can process. And it's very formalized. There's 8 steps to it, things like that. So there's different types of things that are offered. Peer support is another. Getting together all their other alternative mobile response programs and relate, right? We're different. While we're responding to the same type of crises, we're also different. So,
Raven, considering all of the different ways that folks might be sharing, there's this complexity of these conversations being potentially very emotionally vulnerable, being very difficult. and just the fact that folks are at work. These are colleagues. You may be talking to your boss, your employer. So being able to talk about the way in which something felt like it might be um, triggering a trauma response or impacting someone's ability to work. Um, there seems to be this tension between being able to talk about it and also the fact that you're disclosing that at work, and that could put someone in a vulnerable position or make them concerned for the security of their job, what have you. So I guess, do you have any thoughts on that or advice on that? How does that tension get resolved in a way that people can be safe to be themselves and talk about their needs at work?
Great question, actually. I think there's a couple layers to that. So I think that any management staff or any program oversight folks should have a good background in what trauma informed care is. Okay. To understand what trauma is, how it impacts us, and how to process through that. That's of vital importance. Number two, these conversations, whether it's a hot wash, defusing, or a debriefing, should be absolutely confidential, punishment free, and not be something that can be utilized against an employee for any way, shape, or form. That is not creating a safe space. We have to have safe spaces for our folks to talk about the hard things. If it were to be a formal debriefing or a defusing, the clinician or the person that responds to that is sworn by confidentiality. In the state that we are in Ohio, that is also protected communication. So that information cannot be utilized. Also, if it were a critical incident that involved two layers of responders, so the folks that are first responding and their supervisors, if there's a debriefing, hot wash, or defusing, those should be done separately for that reason, because those in leadership experience different challenges than those that are on the front lines. So it has to be something. I can't go to my supervisor and just lay it all out, because you have the power differentiation as well as the fear of, is this going to go to HR? So providing safe spaces for our folks to have those conversations, and it not be recorded, it not be videotaped. It's a what stays in Vegas stays in Vegas. It's right here, and that is of vital importance for anyone in a supervisory role and above, have that trauma informed care understanding and apply it to their folks. Great question.
Thanks so much, Raven. And thank you so much for coming and talking about this. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, yes.
Um, and I guess in that regard, encouraging people to check out Pinpoint and what y'all do there. What states do y'all operate in?
Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Arizona, and Florida. And if I'm forgetting someone, my boss can yell at me later. Okay. Yeah. So we have different clinicians that are available in different states. Wellness programs is something that I specialize in. So if there are questions or somebody's like, well, how do you do this? Let me tell you, I would be absolutely honored to be able to take care of anyone that's taking care of our people. So
Awesome.